I know moving abroad can be scary, risky, and very stressful, especially if you choose the wrong country. It's important to choose the country that's the easiest for you to transition to. I've lived in 4 countries throughout my 2 decades as a Muslim expat, but there's one of them that I found to be the most beginner friendly, and that's Egypt. Here are 7 reasons why Egypt may be the country you should choose to start off your Hijrah journey. The first reason is that Egypt is centrally located and you can get everywhere in the Muslim world from Egypt. You have a great opportunity for doing Islamic tourism, and it's a great place to immerse yourself in Islamic culture. For only $150, you can make Umrah. Most Muslim countries are just a short distance away, and for less than $300, you can travel to most of the countries surrounding Egypt. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Morocco, Turkey, and on and on. So Egypt is centrally located where you can reach all of these countries for almost nothing. Number 2, Egypt is easy to enter. Now, some other countries have these liberal immigration policies where people can come visit and do tourism, but Egypt seems to be the easiest one in terms of getting in and staying. They don't have this difficult visa immigration policy for people to stay on tourist visas and for people to stay long-term and things like this. It's pretty easy. The only problem would be the time that you go to the immigration building in order to get the visa renewal. Sometimes it's really crowded, like, a lot of things going on, but there's ways around that. If you come early, if you time your situation right, it can be an easy process. So Egypt is easy to enter. With just $25, you can walk into the country and you have 30 days. And then if you decide to stay, you can just keep renewing for 3 to 6 months. And if you have family, you can put your child in a school and get a year. If you are unmarried, or if you're looking to be married, you can find a spouse and get a visa through that. But there are many ways to live in Egypt that are very, very easy or easier than other countries. The third reason that Egypt is a good launch pad for your Hijrah is the language barrier. In many of the countries I've been to, the language barrier has been a problem, meaning that you have to learn the local language in order to get by, or you need someone to help you with translation. You need someone to take you around, etc. But Egypt, even though Egypt is an Arabic-speaking country, many people know English. English is taught as a second language, so many people can get around with basic English. Even though you don't want to live your life as trying to get around with English, there have been people that have lived in Egypt over 30 years and with very little Arabic knowledge. So it is possible to get around with English, even though you should try to learn the local language. But the language barrier in Egypt is far less than, let's say, Turkey or Kazakhstan or other places. Number 4, low cost of living. Although Egypt has a low cost of living, in some cases you don't have to compromise quality. There are places that are extremely cheap to live, even possibly about $150 or less for rent, for example, per month, that you can find in Egypt, but the quality may not be up to the standard of somebody that's coming from a Western country. But they do have facilities that for double or maybe triple that price, you'll be able to find something that's comparable to what you're used to from where you come from. So Egypt, the cost of living is still very low, especially if you're dealing with local things like the rental prices, the food prices, especially if you buy local food, the prices of utilities, and things like outings, eating out, going to the parks, going to different events and things like that is very cheap compared to what you might expect in Western countries. As an example, let's say a family of 2 can live off of a budget of $1,000 easy. And that includes rent, that includes food, that includes utilities, and that also includes some outings and some entertainment. So Egypt has a very affordable cost of living. And if you make over $1,000, up to $1,500, even up to $2,000 per month, you can live very well in Egypt. Number 5, educational options. There are many educational options, especially when it comes to Islamic education. Egypt is well known for its Arabic studies, its Quran studies, and general Islamic studies. So a person that wants to come, they can easily go into a center, for example, Fajr Center or Lisan al-Arab or Markaz Ibana. There's so many that are directed towards foreigners learning the Arabic language. Another thing is that many of these centers have been around many, many years. For example, the Fajr Center is over 30 years old, and it's been teaching foreigners that whole 30 years. It was established to teach foreigners the Arabic language. And there are many in between, Marcus Neal, for example. So there's not a shortage of centers for learning the Arabic language. And then the Quran is just, you can find any teacher. They have centers. There's places that are free even to learn Quran or to memorize Quran, and with proper tajweed and proper makharij and these things. Also, there are very good options for your children. So, and low cost. For example, the Al-Azhar schools for the children. You have public Azhar schools and you have private Azhar schools. The private ones, you can get something for a year, less than $1,000 for the year. And then for the public ones, it's almost nothing. So you don't even have to. In some cases, they'll ask you to paint the classroom or buy a new board or something like that, and that's the tuition. So it's minimal, into the $50 or $40 or something like that. So you have those options, and of course the the ones that you pay for are, of course, of better quality, better equipment, better facilities, etc. But for children, there are many, many options, many, many different type of school choices, especially for Islamic school, as what we're talking about. Number 6, large expat communities. Egypt is known for having foreigners come from different parts of the Arab world to take advantage of their educational institutions. But more recently, foreigners from the West have been coming, and they've been coming to learn Arabic. They've been coming to memorize Quran. So that being the case, there have been large expat communities that have formed in different nationalities. So you have the Americans, you have the Canadians, you have the French, you have the UK, the British. You have many different communities, many where you can fit in and you can try to see where it can take you. You have people from other places. But the point is that there are large expat communities that you can learn from their mistakes. You can ask questions. So that's one great benefit of Egypt, is that it has this expat community that you can kind of lean on and learn from the mistakes they've made in the past and get the advice you need to survive. There are mainly 2 types of expat communities. The first type are students. So you have people who came to learn, and even if they came with their families and their children, all of them are trying to take advantage of the educational opportunities in Egypt. The second type is the muhajir. And the muhajir is a person that's decided to stay in Egypt and live in Egypt, even for possibly an extended period of time or even temporarily, but they're living, so their type of situation is a bit different. The student situation, generally speaking, is they live closer to the centers and closer to the educational opportunities are. And then the muhajir, they live closer to what they expect or what their standards are, their life standards are. So they may live in the new cities, they may live in better areas in terms of the way it looks, newer areas. So you have those types of people, and you have to determine what you want to be or what you are so that you can connect with the right group of expats. Number 7, the final point is that Egypt is very lenient when it comes to overstaying. So we lived in countries like Malaysia, where if you overstay, it's a big problem. Like it'd be a big deal, right? So you'll go to the place and the police will handcuff you and they take immigration very seriously. The same with Turkey. They take it very serious. But with Egypt, they take it seriously, but it's a leniency there where if you leave and you overstay and you leave the country, then they'll tell you to pay a fine and then you're free to go. That's generally what it is. Before you take Egypt as a place where you want to start your Hijrah journey, you need to know the nuances. You need to get the advice from people that have been there, people that know how to move there, people who've been there for a long, extended period of time, and they can help you to avoid things like deportation and these type of things or these type of stories that many people tell. Not everyone has had that experience, which means that some people are doing things right and other people are unaware of how to move in Egypt. So with that being said, I'd highly recommend that you take a consultation before you decide to take the journey or make the leap to move into a place like Egypt or any place for that matter. You need to talk to someone. You need to talk to a specialist, somebody that's been there and has the experience and that can give you thorough advice so that you don't make the mistakes of people that came blindly. Get your copy of the Hijrah Handbook at book.makehijrah.com.